My name is Rashida Tlaib. As you know, I'm the Democratic nominee for the 13th Congressional District. Most folks know me as a former Michigan State Representative where I was Democratic Chair of Appropriations. I also, for the 6 years I was in the State House, was mostly known for being an after-school partner champion award awardee and fighting on getting access to before and after school funding. That's really directly connected to a lot of our public education system, and it's these incredible programs where it engaged parents and different kinds of wraparound programs and services they needed while we were doing before and after school program work with their kids and children. I'm a mom of 2 boys. One of the things that I am extremely passionate about is environmental justice issues. Growing up in Detroit and southwest part of the Detroit area, I thought that smell was normal. 1 of 5 children have asthma. The other issues around the 13th Congressional District is, from landfill issues to the water treatment plant to a number of other air pollution issues and public health issues. And so that's something I'm going to be very, very much committed to and championing on those issues. Getting you through everyday issues is going to be as important to me than any bill I ever work on. One of the #1 issues, we door knocked over 55,000 doors, and I continue door knocking throughout the district, is car insurance. And so my first bill will be the Justice for All Civil Rights Act. It's on my website at rashidaforcongress.com, where, if you think about the 1964 Civil Rights Act, it was great, historic, wonderful, but guess what? Over the last 50 years, our judges our court system became increasingly more conservative and pretty much watered it down. So as an attorney and a civil rights advocate, I would get these cases like driver's license responsibility fee was one of the cases I worked on. We have to show that the discriminatory act was intentional. Why is that important for car insurance redlining practice? It's because it's discriminatory process. And we have to show a higher threshold of showing intent that the practice is discriminatory. Well, Justice for All Civil Rights Act would change it to show that the impact of that policy on the ground is discriminatory as it's implemented. So we can see that more of our lower income, our African American neighbors, folks that are increasingly becoming more pushed down in poverty by having one of the highest, I think, in the nation of car insurances in my district, where we have the 3rd poorest congressional district, and literally 4227 within our 13th congressional district has highest car insurance rate up to $5,000 right here in our backyard. So it's really important for me to be able to push back against what I call corporate greed and what I call this kind of unaccountable, not held accountable to any kind of laws or their process or their practices. And then on top of that, Justice for All Civil Rights Act will help us increase home ownership because less than half of my families own their own home in the 13th Congressional District. And what I find is that the practices by some of the banks, the processes they have in place right now, does push up against those that are working class and working poor. And so for us to be able to open up the door and have equal access to home ownership through access to lending and so forth is really important. And I think Justice for All Civil Rights Act gets us closer to that by pushing again up against a lot of these corporations and banks that have these processes there in place that keep people in poverty. The other last thing is obviously access to public health. What I've noticed is, even Affordable Care Act is the insurance companies wrote the bill. Everybody admits it, even people that I know, friends that work for the Obama administration, is that the insurance companies were in the room when the Affordable Care Act was drafted. And we need to I hope, my son is 7, my youngest, and I hope when he's 17 or 18 years old, he's gonna be like, what are you talking about insurance companies? It's universal health care, because I think we're moving towards that. And I think it's primarily because we're realizing even trying to compromise with the insurance industry, it's not working because they're obviously centered around profit and they're obviously centered around not allowing us to get choice when it comes to drug prescription and things like that. You should know up until recently, we actually had insurance companies were actually preventing pharmacists from telling you about cheaper drugs. So they had this gag order where they literally, if you came up to them and you were getting a prescription, they were not allowed to tell you there was a much more affordable, less costly, obviously, a drug that's the same, would result in the same kind of treatment. And so I know U.S. Senator Stabenow worked very hard to get rid of that so-called gag process and structure that's in place. But again, a lot of this is piecemealing when we know it's the health insurance industry, which have about 170 lobbyists right now near the Capitol, fighting against us having access to quality, affordable health care. And again, a lot of these practices, I believe, really center around impacting, especially my families in the 13th Congressional District. You have a question?
No, I was just going to say it in a minute.
Oh, okay. Well, you're going to love the neighborhood service centers because all of you should not have to wait until I pass Medicare for all or $50 minimum wage increases to get you good jobs or to get access to health care. I want to be able to be an advocate for you today. And so that means, being able to pick up the phone and get the services that you need today and the resources you need today, because I know that these are years I can't get back for you. And so just know that I will be accessible and that the service center will be the heart of my public service to all of you. And I know my team is really excited about that because it's going to keep us rooted in community, rooted in providing services to all of our families. And thank you all so much, and it's going to be really an honor to serve all of you.